Alright, let's talk about cryptocurrencies. I know a lot of you guys wanted to hear my opinion on them and what I think of this whole market, so let's actually get right into it. Alright, so the first thing that I would like to take a look at with you guys is how can we actually determine the value of something, right? So that's really important to understand, because if you want to have a good perspective, not only on cryptos but on anything, you need to know what are the criteria that we look for to basically determine what an investment could be worth, right? So you will see that it's pretty simple, but the idea is that it basically comes back to the very basic of economy, which is supply and demand. So number one, supply, right? How much of this specific resource is actually available? So that's number one. And number two, the demand, how many people actually want it? And I will give you guys three examples that will kind of illustrate you how do we actually go about taking these concepts into practice, all right? So the first thing that we can look at is, for example, the gold market, right? So gold is a financial asset, a very popular asset, I would say, between traders and investors. A lot of people, care about the value of gold. Now, let's ask ourselves, why is gold worth so much money, right? If you want to, go out and buy a gold chain, well, it's relatively expensive, even if it's a very small chain, it will still cost quite a lot of money. So why is gold so expensive, right? Like, what is the reasoning behind it? Well, let's look at it from the two criteria that I just gave you guys. So number one, supply, right? Is there a limited amount of gold on the planet? The answer is yes, right? So it's a scarce resource. There is only a limited amount of it, which already makes it more valuable in the first place. Now, number two, which is also just as important, the demand, right? How many people actually would like to have some gold, right? Whether it's for wearing it or whether it's for decorating their house or any other use, right? How many people would actually like to have some gold, right? Is there a lot of people that would like to have gold? The answer is most definitely yes. So if we take these two things in consideration, well, we have limited supply and we have a lot of people who would like to have some gold, which makes it very valuable, right? So if there is not, an infinite amount of gold, and if a lot of people want to have gold, well, it's just common sense, the price will be high for this specific financial asset, right? So far, so good. Now, the second example I want to share with you guys is air, right? The air that we breathe on a daily basis, right? So let's actually try to understand why the air is worth zero, right? Like, you cannot sell oxygen to someone, that doesn't make sense. So why is that? Well, let's look at the supply and let's look at the demand, right? Let's actually start with the demand, all right? So how many people want to have oxygen? Well, the answer is every single human on the planet, right? If you don't have air to breathe, then you die. So it's automatically the most valuable thing that we have, right? It's worth a unlimited amount of money in reality, right? Even if you had $1,000 trillion and someone has air to trade with you, he will not trade it with you. Because if he gives you oxygen and if that person does not have, oxygen anymore, then this person will die. So air is worth a infinite amount of money. In fact, you cannot even buy air with money because it's priceless. Right? So that's the first thing to understand. Now, if we look at the other thing, which is supply, right? Is it a scarce resource? The answer is no. And that is the reason why no one is trying to sell you oxygen. It's because you already have an unlimited amount of oxygen, right? There is enough air in the world for everyone to breathe and to survive. So therefore, since everyone already has enough of it, it's not a scarce resource, so you cannot sell that. It has no value. So you see, it's a great paradox, right? It's priceless, but at the same time, it has no value because everyone already has enough of it. So you see, that is the reason why I started with explaining you guys how can we judge the value of something, and always looking at these two criteria, because that's really, really important to determine precisely what something is worth. Now, the third example, we are actually getting into it for real now, cryptocurrency, right? So if we try to look at cryptos from these two kind of criteria, right? So let's actually do this together. So supply, right? How much crypto is out there, right? Is there a limited amount of Bitcoin, for example? Well, as far as we know, yes, there is a limited amount of Bitcoin, right? The creator of the Bitcoin, which is, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around that, let's say, created a limited amount of Bitcoin that is now on the market, right? So that is number one. Yes, there is a limited amount of it, which means that it is a scarce resource, and therefore it might, help the value go up. Now, that is only if we have the second criteria that is also being validated, which is how many people actually want cryptos. And here I will make a very important nuance, okay? And that is crucial to understand. So listen carefully, guys. So when I gave you the example with gold, right? And I said that a lot of people want to have gold. Let's ask ourselves, why is that, right? Why people want to have gold? Is it for a specific use, or is it only for the potential return that it has on their investment, right? Well, the answer is most likely the first one, which is that people want to have gold for different reasons than just making money, or for, hoping that the price will go up so that they sell it at a profit, right? There's not a lot of people actually on a day-to-day basis who will buy gold just for that purpose, right? So if you go on the street and you see someone with a gold chain or with a gold ring, or if you go at a luxury house and you see some decoration of gold, well, the purpose of having these things might be, there might be a part of the consciousness of the person that's like, oh, gold will gain value, so it's not that bad to buy it. But at the same time, if someone is wearing a gold chain, it's because that person wants to wear gold, because he loves it, because it's cool, because other people see it as a, luxury item to have, and all of these things. So there is actually a reason behind why people want to have gold, beside the fact that it might gain value over the long term. Now, if we come back to cryptocurrency, right? How many people want to have cryptocurrencies for another reason than its speculative purpose? Well, the answer is pretty much zero, right? So why someone would hold cryptocurrencies, right? Or why someone would buy Bitcoin or buy Ripple, right? Like, what's the reason? Well, 99% of the time, it's because this person is trying to make money, right? So you buy Bitcoin, you hope that it goes up, and if it does go up, you sell it for a profit. So the only reason why you would buy these things is for the speculative aspect of it. And so that changes a lot of things, because all of a sudden its true value is not there anymore. So if we come back to the gold example, and that's the reason why I'm using the gold example, is because it's pretty interesting to compare it with cryptocurrency. If we come back to the gold example, as we just kind of realized, well, a lot of people will buy gold for different reasons, because they want to wear it, or because it looks beautiful, the color is nice, and blah, 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 right? So many different reasons of why someone would buy gold, not just to make money. I even have myself, some gold chains. And when I bought these chains a few years ago, I was not like, let's try to make money with these chains. I was just like, oh, I like gold, I like chains, so let's buy some and wear them after that. That was the only reasoning in my head. So people buy gold for different reasons than speculative purpose. Now, is it the same thing for cryptocurrency? Not really. And that's a big, big point, because it changes the perspective that there is about the specific financial asset, and so that actually changes the value perceived of this asset as well. So that's really the first point that I wanted to explain you guys, and you will see how all of this will lead us eventually to a better understanding of what cryptos are, and also what do I personally think of cryptos, and where I stand with all of this. And by the way, one thing I would like to mention as well in this video is that all of this is just my understanding, my opinion, call it whatever you want to call it. All right, so I don't force you guys to agree with me. I'm not saying that I'm the best or that I'm a genius or whatever. You can have another opinion if you want. It's totally up to you. I'm just trying to bring you guys the facts. All right, and that's really what I would also like you guys to do after watching this video, or even during watching this video. If you already have a frequency of notion, right? If you already have an opinion about cryptocurrencies, try to put that on the side, all right? Like in life, it's never a good idea to, be super attached to one opinion that you already have, because, is it really the truth, or is it just what you think of it, right? Is it really what is there, or is it just your perspective of how something actually is, right? So there's a big difference between what is true and what you perceive to be true. So don't hold too tight on your opinions, right? Be humble enough to try to see another point of view. And so this is really important to do, not just in this video, but as I said, in life in general. Now, once again, I'm not saying to completely agree with me or disagree with me, but just put your opinion on the side, try to see the facts from an objective point of view, and then you will already have a better, idea of what it actually is. All right, so the second point I would like to mention about cryptocurrency, now that's not that relevant, but it's still interesting to mention, I would say, is that investing in cryptos, as I said, the only reason why you would do this is because you would think that cryptos themselves would gain value, right? So it's a speculative investment. Now, if we compare this, let's say, with another type of investing, which could be, let's say, real estate, right? So let's say that you buy a farm or you buy a land, right? Well, this farm will produce something, right? So if you buy a farm, you might produce, I don't know, carrots, or you might produce some fruits, or you might have animals on the farms that, gives you eggs and things like that, right? So if you buy a farm, well, it will produce you something. You will get something out of this farm. So you buy something, and so that piece of real estate in itself will gain value over the long term because of inflation and all of these things. But this asset will also produce you something, which is very interesting already, right? Now, the difference with cryptos is that if you buy cryptos, as we said, it's for, a speculative approach, but having cryptos themselves will not produce something, right? Like it does nothing, basically. That's the idea, and that's really important to understand. It's not something that actually, will give you something in return for just having it, okay? So that's a big difference between cryptos and most of the other investments that you could do. As I said, it's not that relevant per se, because there are other investments that could be very valuable that also don't directly produce something, but it's still interesting just to have this in perspective. All right, third point, there's nothing that will support cryptocurrency, or I should say nothing supports now cryptocurrencies, right? There's nothing behind the value of cryptocurrencies other than the people who want to buy it because they think that the price will go up, right? There's nothing. So if we compare this, for example, with Forex, which is, the market that I mostly trade, and normal currencies, what is one main difference between cryptocurrencies and normal currencies? Well, the difference is that with a real currency, you actually have something that support this currency, which is the economy of whatever currency you're trading. So for example, if we look at the Canadian dollar, right? So I'm from Canada, that's why I use that. If we look at the Canadian dollar, what supports the value of the Canadian dollar is the whole Canadian economy, right? And everything that is going on around this currency, which makes it more valuable than if, of course, there was nothing around it, right? So that is, another thing that is important to understand with cryptos is that, the difference with cryptos and real currencies, as I said, is that cryptos, it's kind of, it's just speculative, that's really the idea. There's really nothing behind that. And it's important to, keep this in mind because, as I said before, and that's why I warned you guys to keep your opinions on the side. If you already have a, frequency of notion about cryptocurrencies and everything that I'm saying, you just think that it's not that relevant, well, you will, finish this video and just leave with nothing, right? You will not be open enough to have the value. And as you guys probably can tell by now, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to believe in, right? Or I'm not trying to impose my, thoughts on you. I'm just trying to share this with you, like this video is for sharing purposes, It's not even educational, I would say. It's just me sharing my thoughts with you guys, and hopefully that it, helps you in any kind of ways. All right, now the fourth point, I think I'm on the fourth now, that I would like to mention, and I already kind of talked about this before, but why people buy something is really important, right? So why people buy gold, we already talked about that. Why people buy a farm, we already talked about that. Why people buy stock, well, of course, it's because of how the business could go, and if the business grows, then the stock is likely to rise, and blah, 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 right? So all of these other type of investment, there's always a reason why people would buy that. Versus in crypto, well, as I said, the only reason is for speculative purpose. And so that's important to understand, because if we understand that the only reason why there is a value in the first place on these things is because people care about these things, then all of a sudden our perspective will start to change about cryptocurrencies, right? And so from this perspective, we can also understand that in reality, anything could happen, and we saw it in the last few years. Look at 2017, 2018, right? We had a massive bubble on the cryptocurrency market, like Bitcoin almost 20,000, Ripple, I think it was around $3-4, not sure exactly, but around there. And yeah, I mean, that was crazy, like it was just going up and up and up and up. Everyone was talking about cryptocurrency and how it would change the world. And we saw so many people with crazy forecasts. People thought that it would go to 50,000 and 100,000 and 1 million in just a few years period. And people thought that we would all be millionaires from cryptocurrencies, right? And all of a sudden, now we are in 2020, just about 2 years after that, no one is talking about cryptos anymore, right? Ripple is at the lowest point it has ever been, even before the bubble. Bitcoin right now, I think it's well, I have it here. Bitcoin is trading right now at hold on, let me just find it, at 6,000, and it was much lower before that as well. So it goes up and down, it fluctuates a lot, and it's very volatile, as you guys can see, all right? And so that's really important, because as I said, anything could happen, it could go up, it could go down. Both directions in reality are possible. It depends on how the perspective of the people who trade these markets evolve as well. That's a big thing, as I try to explain you guys in this video. And yeah, I mean, that's just, you need to understand the nature of cryptocurrencies, right? In order to really understand what you're even trading or investing in the first place. So in 2018, when the whole world was talking about cryptocurrency, everyone thought that it would be a revolution, right? That normal currencies would disappear and that Bitcoin would take over everything. Well, now we are in 2020 and all of that is nonsense, it did not happen, and it's not even close to happening, Like, think about it for real, and this is mostly for the people who already have a fixed opinion on cryptocurrencies, right? Try to open your mind right now and look at the world for real, right? What really changed with cryptocurrency since 2018, right? Is there something in the world that is now working differently because of cryptos, right? After the big bull run that we had? Not really, right? Everything is the same, If there was crypto versus if there was not cryptos, that would make no difference, on a day-to-day basis. Now, I know some people will say, yeah, Anthony, but some people, some businesses accept crypto, some people are exchanging it, for different items. I know that a lot of, for example, car companies were, at some point accepting cryptocurrencies and things like that. I think you could even buy, a Lamborghini with Bitcoin at some point and things like that. I don't even know if that is still possible, but I knew that you could do that at some point. So that's one thing, maybe that did change, but is this really a big change, as some people were thinking that it would change the whole world? Well, not really, right? So that just goes to show you that, when it comes to these speculative assets, you really need to be careful, and not follow the masses, right? Not follow the easy way out, which is to believe that crypto is the new amazing thing and that it will revolutionize everything, right? Because at one point, just a few years ago, this is what everyone was thinking about cryptocurrencies, and that was the general conception of it. And I've never, went into this direction, right? Even if you guys go back on my social media, either on YouTube or on Instagram, and you go back, 2017, 2018, you will not see me hype up cryptocurrencies, simply because that's not, like, I've never fell into this trap of just following the mass and believing the same thing as everyone, That's why I'm putting so much attention on a objective mindset, right? Don't take the easy way out, right? Try to look at the facts, and I gave you a lot of facts in this video. Try to look at all the facts and try to form a objective opinion. Not even an opinion, just have a good perspective, on what are cryptocurrencies, their use, what they can, evolve in the future and things like that. So it's really, really important to have this objective mindset, because as I said, and I will say it one more time for all of you guys, it is for speculative purpose only, right? 100% speculation. So when it comes to these assets, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just having the right perspective and, following the market, see how it evolves and see how the perspective of people grow over the time. All right, that's a big indication of how cryptocurrencies will actually, evolve in the future. Now, another thing that I did not really talk about much in this video, but I think it's quite relevant as well, is the technology behind cryptocurrency, right? Which is blockchain. So I actually think that the technology in itself is pretty interesting, right? It has a lot of new things that we could look for and maybe expand into some industries in the future, right? I don't know, but we will need to wait and see. So the technology behind it is pretty interesting. Now, how are we going to implement this technology, right? That's the question. Is it going to be through cryptocurrencies, or is it going to be through something else? And so, well, we will need to wait and see what the future holds for us. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, this video on cryptocurrency. As I said, my goal with this video was just to kind of share with you guys my thoughts on it, some facts as well that you might find useful. And yeah, just have this discussion with you guys. I don't want to impose you my opinion, as I said. It's just for sharing purposes, and you do what you want with this information. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can leave a like on it and share it around if you want. All right? So on that, take care, trade with care, manage your money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.